Good morning, Robert Scribbler. It is October 2nd, 2018. Thank you for joining me for another climate change and clean energy video blog. Now, for this particular segment, I am going to talk about some news with regards to Tesla, which is arguably the world's leading clean energy automaker. But before I get into that, I'd just like to talk a little bit about some of the differences in worldview between those of us who support clean energy and sustainability and some of the more hopeless people that I would call cynics for various reasons. So at present, the global system, the global human system, is currently involved in producing more damage and taking more resources from the Earth system than the Earth system itself can produce. And this is the very basis for sustainability, that at present, human civilization uses more than one Earth's worth of resources. And if you break down the impact of human civilization activity, the biggest impact to the Earth system in general is fossil fuel burning as it relates to climate change, which over time reduces the life-sustaining capacity of the Earth system as a whole. If you take out the carbon emissions related to fossil fuel burning and all the other industrial activities related to fossil fuel burning, then the sustainability picture gets a lot better. It doesn't mean that human civilization does not have an impact, but it then becomes a lot easier to get to that balance where human civilization is not taking one planet or more of the total resources of the Earth by causing various external harms and damages that the Earth system itself can't absorb and repair. So this view is an accurate view, but underlying environmentalism sometimes doesn't necessarily clearly portray this view, nor do the opponents of environmentalism. And just very briefly, the cynical view that has tended to take hold in some quarters is that, one, human civilization itself is by its very nature unsustainable, and two, that it's impossible for so many humans to live on the face of the Earth without causing massive harm. And those two assumptions are incorrect. And for some facts, I'd just like to show that there are, just as an anecdote, that there are individuals in various civilizations that are highly fossil fuel based that have approximately 100,000 times the impact individually, just one person, as a subsistence farmer living in Africa. So if you're one of those people that says, oh, well, population is the problem, well, no, it's a consumption problem. It's what you consume, it's how you consume, and it's an impact problem. It's what your activities do as an individual to the Earth system as a whole. And adding all that together in aggregate, if you've got a million people acting like that one person that I just described, then you've got a real problem. But if you've got many other people around the world that change, that have access to different systems that are more sustainable, and their individual impact goes down and shrinks and continues to shrink, then population itself is not a driver. So human civilization itself can live in balance with the Earth system. Those who say it can't simply don't want to try. And this is where we get back to Tesla. Tesla is a corporate model for sustainability. It's an all clean energy company, and it's an example of what business models should look like in the future if we want civilization to have a future. And in my opinion, this is why Tesla gets a lot of flack, because it challenges the negative, I call it doomer worldview of many of those living among us, many of us who have bought into this cynical idea that human civilization equal bad, like in an Animal Farm kind of way. And there's nothing you can do to change that. By its very nature, human civilization is stained with the original sin of dooming the earth to destruction. And I disagree with that. But, so moving on. So Tesla itself was recently embroiled in yet another silly brouhaha that was worse than it needed to be. And this involved Elon Musk stating publicly that he intended to bring the company private, possibly being duped by the Saudis, who apparently verbally said that they agreed to provide funding for this going private, who then subsequently turned around and invested in some other automaker that was promising to produce electric vehicles, but didn't yet have any real capacity to produce electric vehicles at volume, again causing those of us who look at these things to question the sincerity of a petrostate whose economics are so tied up in fossil fuels. But it's worth noting that the brouhaha now has been settled. Elon Musk has settled with the SEC, and the resolution was that Elon Musk would stay on as chairman, and I'm sorry, stay on as CEO and step down as chairman and pay some fines. And after that, Tesla stocks surged. Now, in addition to that, we've had a number of other bits of positive news coming from Tesla. But before I get into that, I'd just like to show you this graphic provided by Clean Technica. And this is in relationship to the discussion that I had earlier about people's preconceived notions, I think, and probably some fossil fuel advertising money and auto industry based advertising money aimed at producing negative headlines for Tesla. And it's worth noting that during September, the number of negative headlines far outweighed the number of positive headlines, as has been the case over recent months with it. But just looking at this graphic, it's very clear what the communication has been on Tesla and in the media, and that it primarily has been extraordinarily negative and, in my opinion, fallacious to a point. So thinking about those negative views, I would just like to call your attention to the fact that Tesla has yet again set new records and hit new milestones when it comes to actual physical production of clean energy vehicles. Now, I'm going to check the time because we've talked a little bit here. So in total, in the third quarter, Tesla has produced 80,142 vehicles. Of those, 53,000 were Model 3s and another 14,470 Model S's and another 13,190 Model X's, for a total of more than 80,000 produced, with a total of more than 83,000 sold. And that's more than 80% of the total number of vehicles produced and sold for the entire year of 2017. So projections were correct. Tesla has produced more than 80,000 vehicles in the third quarter and sold more than 83,000 vehicles, which was a massive achievement by Tesla. So a major milestone by Tesla, major clean energy milestone. Thank you for joining me. I'll be chatting with you soon.